All right, well, it's time to see if I can find anything in the fall tater patch. And you can see we've severely neglected it. It's just the way it goes, I guess. So it's going to be a bit of an expedition, a bit of a hunting trip here. We've had a couple light frosts, which certainly finished off the vines, although it didn't kill my tomato vines. But really the potato vines were kind of starting to die back anyway. I think they were done. Let's see, it is November 27th today. It's the day after Thanksgiving. I planted these, I think, July or August 15th. I'll have to go back and check the video. But either way, the math works out. They should be ready. They should be done. So we're going to dig them and see what we find. I walked out here earlier just because and had a shovel in my hand, so I turned over one vine and actually was surprised to find a big potato and a couple of small ones. I really didn't expect to find anything. The vines just never really bushed up and looked good, but I guess they don't have to look good to have potatoes under them. So anyway, yeah, let me go through here and start turning some over. I've optimistically brought 2 buckets, and I'll let you know what I find. So I've just been working down the first row, and unfortunately it's really hard to find them because, well, I don't remember how many plants actually germinated in this first row, to be honest with you, but they really growed up in weeds and the vines are really rotten. But I did just find one, still a solid vine, and looky what I found. That's a nice little nest of potatoes there. This is all I've gotten from the rest of the row so far, and then I find this. So this is a big find here. This is a big score, and that was the vine. I don't know if I can find the vine now, I might already thrown it to the side. But basically the vine was still big enough and evident enough that I knew to actually look here. So I may be passing over some, I don't know, you know, because I'm looking for vines. I am seeing fire ants in here. Of course, they're biting me. The fire ants have been working on the potatoes because it's been so dry. The fire ants have been biting the potatoes and getting moisture out of them. But anyway, that was my first big score. So we'll keep working. See, there's all this weeds and crap that have come up. And again, that's just, I've been so dang busy with other stuff that I have totally just neglected the garden and forgotten about it. And you know, I had big plans for this fall potato crop, and then I just, well, for the test, that is. And I just got busy. But you know, really the biggest thing was, the whole point of the test was to see if I could even get them to come up in the summer and not just burn away. And that we already proved, that worked. So now really, any potatoes that I find, I guess, is just icing on the cake. So I'll keep working. So see, here's a vine. You can just barely find the dead vine. Let's see what's under that one. Hey, come on now. See? What yielded well. Not big, but plenty. That's not bad. You know, that's at least 1.5 pounds. I'd much rather have, you know, 10 pounds per pound, but that little nest of potatoes there, just from one seed, that's not horrible. So give me some hope. I'll keep digging and let y'all know. Now, if y'all remember, look at this. Daikon radish. Monster. They stink when they rot. If y'all remember, there was a second part to the fall potato test. It wasn't just, can I grow fall potatoes in Southeast Texas with the heat? The other part was doing them in hay, okay? And that, I have to say, is a game changer. I love it. I didn't even keep up with it. You know, everybody says, oh, well, you know, you gotta add hay now, add a little more later, add a little more later. I have come across a few that were, you know, breached, if you will, or, you know, were sticking up out of the dirt. But only 1 or 2 so far, and you know, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I could have, you know, saved them from greening if I would have hayed them in. But my point is, I'm going through here and I'm finding potatoes that the vines are totally gone. So if I were walking through here with a spade or a fork, you know, just looking for vines and turning over every bit of dirt, I would have wasted a lot of time, because you can see as I'm walking through right now, we're not finding anything in this area. But the point is, I'm not having to really do any work either, okay? Because I'm spending more time here just pulling weeds, these big old, I don't know what these things are, woody, nasty. But my point is, at first I was looking for vines and I was only digging where I saw a dead vine. But as I started working through, I started finding a lot of potatoes really easily by just pulling the hay back. And of course that's the whole point of planting them in hay, was that you don't have to dig them. You just keep the hay over them to keep them from being exposed and greening up. This is really bad. This has got some grass in it. But I don't think there was any vines in here anyway. I tried, if you remember, you can go back and watch the video, when I did hay them, I only bothered to hay around where I saw potatoes coming up. And that was because I didn't want to mulch in a potato that was late to sprout anyway. And so basically, if there's not hay here, there's probably not potatoes here, because pretty much once they didn't germinate after the first couple of weeks, and there was just nothing came of it. And the weeds took over. But see there? I didn't see that vine until now. I saw it because I saw the potatoes. All I had to do was rake the hay away. And that at least is saving me from missing any. And then once I find a few potatoes, you know, then I dig in with my hand a little bit deeper. But hey, come on now. Baseball, almost baseball size, egg size at least. But see, there's nothing, you dig any deeper, there's nothing under there, so there's no need. Just rake the hay away. There's a vine. Look what's peeking out. Okay, just rake the hay back, and I'm just pulling it straight back, you know, hey, where I've been, just pull it right back behind me, pulling it back between my legs. Oh yeah, looky here. See, I didn't have to put hardly any hay on this at all. I probably wasted a lot more hay than I needed to be honest with you. Oh, look at that. That's a good little vine. There's a whole bunch of them in there. One thing I should have mentioned earlier too, these are wet. The ground is wet. And you're not supposed to dig potatoes when they're wet. But I had the time today, and I noticed when I walked by, you know, that the vines were all but gone. And this is another question. Well, not a question, a story, okay? When I pulled my potatoes this spring, the first crop that I dug was dry. And they lasted for easily a month, no problem. I didn't really cure them off like I was supposed to. I just brought them in the house, left them in a box, and they did okay. Second crop I dug, the soil was wet. And then on top of that, they sat in the wheelbarrow and they got rained on that night. Those potatoes rotted within a day. Once they got wet, I dumped that water out the next day, and that evening I was having to can them all because they were rotting, I mean, almost before my very eyes. You know, it was like I went through the whole bucket, threw out a bunch of rotten ones, went through it an hour later and threw out even more. You know, it was just that quick. And I had a lady come by and buy some, and she said, yeah, they pretty much all rotted that same day. So that was a hard lesson learned. Now these, the soil looks a little dry underneath, you know, but we just got like 3 inches of rain in the last 2 days, so it is damp at least. But I'm gonna go ahead and dig them because like I said, I had the time and I wanted to find them, and I'm just gonna go ahead and can all these, like by default. I'm not gonna put them in the box and take the chance that they rot overnight. We're gonna take them in the house, and I'm gonna start canning right away. And I'm just gonna can them all up as just dry canned potatoes. I like having little pints of dry canned potatoes, you know, pop one open every morning for breakfast. So to me, I'm just gonna go ahead and can them up anyway. That's why I went ahead and dug them today. Just figured I would mention that in case anybody was questioning, you know, that I'm out here digging potatoes in damp soil. Like, I know it's not ideal, but I'm doing it because I guess it's by design. If I didn't have a plan to can them all right away tonight, I wouldn't have done it today. But I just said, hey, I got the time, so let's do it. Look at there. See? There's the vine. But I saw the potato first. Raked the hay away and saw the potato first. All right. Enough chit chat. Back to work. Okay, so there's the first bucket full. And that was 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 rows. I'm standing over the 5th row now, and I've just got about 10, 15 feet left to go there on it. Oh, I don't know if I could guess weight, but at least 30 pounds. So 30 pounds out of 4.5 rows. Now this was the stuff that germinated a little better, so it's gonna get a little even thinner over there. But I do believe I'll at least get my seed stock back, which was 50 pounds. May not be entirely worth it, but let's see, if we go back, I think the seed stock cost me a little over $1 a pound with shipping. So it was like 30 cents a pound, and the shipping was like another 20 bucks for the 50-pound bag. So call it $1 a pound is what my seed stock total cost me, which in the springtime when you go retail, it's like $2.50, $3, even more dollars a pound to go buy seed potatoes. So it was good, cheap seed potato, and you know, you can go back and watch the videos. The germination wasn't great. I don't know if that was my fault or the potato's fault. You know, could have been the seed stock, who knows. Anyway, if I get my 50 pounds back at least, you know, I'm not out any money. Sure, it was $1 a pound. Right now I saw potatoes were on sale for like 27 cents a pound or something at the local grocery store. So yeah, I guess I did lose a little bit of money, but these are gonna be better anyway. So there's always that value to it. Anyway, I think there was 17 rows total. That seems to ring a bell. So just call it 15 rows. Say if I get, you know, 30 pounds out of 5 rows. If I do that, then I'll end up with 90 pounds. So then I'll be ahead. But anyway, I'm gonna keep going and try to fill at least that second bucket, and then we'll be in the house and get them all processed. All right, well, if I can count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 rows. So 4.5 rows filled the first bucket. Another 2.5 filled the second bucket. So the long and short of it, I'm gonna end the video with this, but I'm gonna go in the house and can them up like I said earlier. But ultimately, where they germinated, they did good. So, you know, I had really poor germination, like 40%, but where the plant actually grew, it yielded pretty well. So across these 7 rows, you know, I pulled like, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 plants per row on average. Like, it's really not much. There was entire strips of, you know, 15, 20 feet where there was nothing. So where they yielded well. It's enough that I would definitely use this. I would try this breed of potato again. You know, and like I said, I think with a little bit better conditions, like I said, when I planted, a lot of the seed potato was starting to get a little rotten. I think a lot of it rotted in the ground when I planted it. And yeah, you know, it wasn't ideal, right? It was hot, it was dry. I kept the sprinkler on as best I could, but honestly, I only watered them for the first, I don't know, a couple of weeks. I tried to soak it in really, really well and get that hay wet because the hay held the moisture under it. And then I didn't water it again for the last couple of months. And out of that time period, it's been really dry. We had 1 3-inch rain, I don't know, almost 2 months ago now. So they did pretty doggone good, all things considered. You know, I'm really happy with the results, actually. You know, the yield is not great for the area. Was it worth the effort? Probably not. But this was a total test. The test went great. I got potatoes to grow in the heat of summer in Southeast Texas. I used the hay method, which absolutely I will use in the future. That is awesome, to just hay them in. Barely have to dig any dirt at all, and what dirt you do dig is nice and just soft because the hay has kept it, you know, covered up, kept it moist, kept it cool. And maybe that was the trick to having the fall potatoes, was having them under hay also. I don't know, but I will certainly do it again, and maybe try a little harder, and we'll see. But like I said, where they grew, where they germinated, they did well for the most part.